Hello and welcome to this special report at XM.com. I'm Maria Pachordiz, and joining me is investment analyst Marios Hadjikyriacos. We'll be discussing the U.S. presidential election on Tuesday and the potential reaction in the markets. So Marios, in national opinion polls, Biden is still leading Trump, but the gap has narrowed, especially in key battleground states that usually decide the winner. What do we know so far?
Hello, Maria. Well, what we do know so far is that Biden has one of the biggest polling leads in recent decades. He's much further ahead in opinion polls than Clinton ever was at this point in the race. And yes, the gap has narrowed, especially in some key swing states like Florida and Arizona, for example, or North Carolina. But Biden is still comfortably ahead. Now, does that mean there's no chance Trump wins? No, it doesn't mean that. Trump still has a narrow path to victory. He might be able to, if he wins all of the key swing states, then he could squeeze out, let's say, another victory in the Electoral College. But the point is, how likely is that scenario? If I had to attach a probability to it, I'd say it's almost around 10% or maybe 15%. That doesn't mean it's zero, but it means that it's a very narrow path to victory for Donald Trump. Now, if you look at betting odds, there's just a much higher probability for a Trump victory. And I think that has to do with the legacy of 2016. So everyone was so shocked by the electoral victory of Trump in 2016 that they are expecting him to outperform his opinion polls once again this time. However, I don't really think that's going to happen because in the meantime, since 2016, the pollsters have changed a lot of their methodology to account for that Trump error. So I don't really think we're going to see Trump outperforming his polls as much as he did in 2016 at least. And if anything, I would say that the market may be overestimating in a sense the chances that Trump really has to win.
Okay, so considering all of this, what do you think would be the most favorable outcome for markets?
Well, the most favorable is also the most probable if you look at betting markets, and that's a landslide Biden victory. The Democrats take everything, the White House, all of Congress. They implement giant stimulus packages to help the economy. That would probably be bullish for stock markets, but bearish for the dollar because of expectations for giant government deficits and also for expectations of calmer US-China relations under a Biden administration that could diminish some safe haven demand for the dollar.
Okay, and what happens if we end up with a very close election and Trump disputes the result in the Supreme Court?
Well, that's actually the most bearish scenario. So if we're taking the most extreme scenarios, this I believe would be the most negative one for the markets in the short term. I would expect to see a brief but very sharp sell-off in stock markets. The dollar, this by the way happened back in 2000 with Bush versus Gore. The stock market fell 10% or within a few weeks. The dollar rose initially but then fell, and I would expect something similar to play out this time. However, the final ring to that is, yes, we might see a sell-off in this scenario, but I would expect it to be relatively short-lived. Once the smoke starts to clear and the result becomes a little obvious, I would expect many investors to see this as a buying opportunity.
Marios, thanks so much. And thanks for joining us at XM.com.